Good morning, students. Today we are going to start the first chapter, that is chemistry of carbohydrates. First, we need to learn about the functions of carbohydrates. Main functions of carbohydrates. Carbohydrate is the main energy source in our body. Which is the main source of energy? Carbohydrates. Um, Per gram of carbohydrate can yield 4 kilocalorie of energy for an individual. How much energy is available out of 1 gram of carbohydrate? 4 kilocalories of energy is available. And we can store carbohydrates because if any excess amount is available, the body itself we can store in the form of starch and glycogen. Starch in the case of plants, and in the case of animals, it is stored in the form of glycogen, mainly in the liver. And then the still remained excess amount of carbohydrate can also be converted to fat. That's possibility also there. You can convert carbohydrate to fat also for future use, energy requirement purpose. Then, and in the form of glycoproteins and glycolipids. Glycoproteins means carbohydrate plus protein is glycoproteins. Carbohydrate plus lipid is glycolipids. In the form of glycoproteins and glycolipids, they are components of cell membrane and receptors. And this carbohydrates acts as the structural basis for many organisms. Where all we can find as a structural basis. It is present in cellulose of plants. In the case of insects, as part of exoskeleton, and also in the cell wall of microorganisms. And mucopolysaccharides and the form of carbohydrate. It be the ground substance. Ground substance means it's a part of the extracellular membrane, extracellular space actually. That space is filled with a jelly-like substance, and that substance is mainly composed of mucopolysaccharides in the case of higher organism. In the case of higher organism, in the extracellular space, it is filled with jelly-like substance. That substance is mainly composed of mucopolysaccharides. The nomenclature. Monosaccharides are there. Mono means only one sugar group is present. Then di means two sugar groups are present and they are combined together. Combined together with a glycosidic bond and the elimination of a water molecule. That compound is called disaccharide. The trisaccharide means they have three sugar groups. Oligo means those carbohydrates they are having from 2 to 9 monosaccharide units. How many monosaccharide units is required to be an oligosaccharide? It should have 2 or more up to 9 monosaccharide units. Then we can call it as an oligosaccharide. Next. Then poly means those carbohydrates having more than 9 monosaccharide units are called polysaccharides. More than 9. Then, and also in the case of polysaccharides, if all the monosaccharide units are of same type, then they are called homopolysaccharides. And if all the monosaccharide units are not similar, then that case, that polysaccharide, we can call it as heteropolysaccharides. Then what are aldoses and ketoses? In these sugars, there is a functional group are present. If that functional group is aldehyde, then it is called aldoses. If it is of keto group, then it is called ketosis. Then similar where trioses, tetroses, pentoses, hexoses are also there. How that name is coming? Because depending on number of carbon atoms, if only 3 carbon atoms are present in a sugar, then it is called triose. If 4 is present, then tetrose. 5, pentose. 6 is there, then it is called hexose. Then we are going to understand about stereoisomers. Stereoisomers. Isomers means their structural formula is same, but molecular formula are different. Example, D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde. Here the structural formula is C3H2O3. The structural formula is same, but its molecular formula is different because here in this side is OH group, but with regard to this structure, OH group comes in another side, the other side. So that's what it is, D-glyceraldehyde and L-glyceraldehyde. Both are isomeric form of glyceraldehyde. Next, then asymmetric carbon. Asymmetric also I have already discussed with you. If the 4 bonds of the carbon is bonded with different groups, then that carbon is called asymmetric. Here only one asymmetric carbon is present in this group. So we need to understand how many stereoisomers is possible out of this structure. And there's an equation for that, 2 raised to n. N is the number of asymmetric carbon. Here there is only one asymmetric carbon. So 2 raised to 1 and S is equal to 2. So only 2 isomers is possible out of this structure. Then penultimate carbon. There's some significance for this penultimate carbon. Penultimate means second last. It's not the last one, but the second last. What is the significance of the second last? Here this is the second last carbon. Based on this carbon, we are giving the name, we are understanding whether it is dextrose or levo, D or L. Dextrose means rotation towards right, levo means rotation towards left. And so here in this figure, you listen here, second carbon and the OH group is found on the right side. So it is D-glycerose or D-glyceraldehyde. So that's the importance of penultimate carbon. Here, we are considering the OH group. We are checking the OH group that is attached to the penultimate carbon to understand its name, whether it is D or L, L4. Then optical activity. Optical activity. Reason for the optical activity. Why a carbohydrate is showing optical activity? Because of the presence of asymmetric carbon. Asymmetric carbon, or what is asymmetric? It's very clear to you. So, if asymmetric carbon is present in that compound, compound, then that compound will show optical activity. Before that, we also need to understand about plane polarized light. What is plane polarized light? Plane polarized light means that light, all the waves that present in that light vibrate in same direction, not in different direction. Understand? Say, beam of light in which all the waves show same direction of vibration. We'll show you that different waves and their vibration is same. Once more, this direction of vibration is same. Such type of light is called a plane polarized light. Then when it passes through carbohydrates, when a plane polarized light passes through the carbohydrate, what will happen? This is a plain polarized light having the vibration same direction. So look here, we can understand the change. Here on reaching here after passing that glucose carbohydrate, its plane of vibration has changed, has shifted. It's there's a shift happen in its angle of rotation. That's what. That's why we are saying that carbohydrate have optical activity. Optical activity. It can change the plane of a plane polarized light. Understand? So D-glucose, if that plain polarized light is passed through D-glucose, then it rotates the beam towards right side. If it passes through the L-glucose, then that plain polarized light is rotate to left. And also if we are passing the plain polarized light through a solution that contain equal composition of D and L glucose, then there is no net deviation. There is no fluctuation, no rotation. Okay, because they cancel each other. That effect cancel each other. That's why there is no change in the angle. Then diastereoisomers of glucose. Here, so many isomers of glucose. There are glucose, mannose, galactose. All are D because that OH group is on right side on the penultimate carbon. That's why all are called D, D, D. Then diastereoisomers means here, now look here, D-glucose and D-mannose. Here, the second carbon, with regard to second carbon in the case of D-glucose and D-mannose, there is spatial rearrangement happens. In the case of glucose, OH is here. But in the case of mannose, OH is on the other side. So, we can say that they are isomers and also at the same time that spatial rearrangement happens to the same carbon, second carbon in both these cases. So, they are also called epimers because that change happens to the same carbon. Okay. And D-galactose is also another isomer of glucose. And here that spatial arrangement happens to the fourth carbon. Since that change happened in the fourth, it is not an epimer of glucose or an epimer of mannose. Okay. So then to know much about glucose, glucose is the predominant sugar. Before that, these three forms, more than these three forms are possible for the glucose. Because why? To a total of 16 isomers are possible for glucose. Why? Because in glucose, 4 asymmetric carbons are present. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 asymmetric carbons are present. So that's why when it is substituted on 2 raised to n, we got 16. Out of the 16, this D-glucose, D-mannose and D-galactose are common in a biological system, biological body. So then regarding glucose, glucose is the predominant sugar in the body and it is dextrorotatory. Dextrorotatory, D-glucose is dextrorotatory, sorry. D-glucose is dextrorotatory, means its rotation is towards right side. Then galactose. Galactose means is a constituent part of lactose and glycoproteins. In the liver, this galactose can epimerize. Epimerize means again it can rearrange, undergo spatial rearrangement and can convert to glucose and can be used up later in the situations of need. Then mannose. Mannose it's a constant of glycoproteins. In glycoproteins, mannose we can form. Then epimerism and aldoses. Epimers already I explained to you. Epimers means they differ. These epimers differ one another with regard to one carbon atom, the same carbon atom. Other than the reference carbon, I think it is the carbon that is carrying the functional group. So here in the case of epimers, they differ with respect to the same carbon regarding to its spatial arrangement. So D-glucose and mannose is a epimeric pair. But mannose and D-galactose, they are not epimer because that spatial rearrangement has not happened to the same carbon. Here it is second and here is 4. Then anomerism of sugars. Before coming to anomerism, we need to understand mutarotation. What is mutarotation? If we prepare a fresh D-glucose solution in room temperature, listen to that condition, in room temperature, then its specific rotation of polarized light means we prepare a glucose fresh solution at room temperature and through that solution we are passing a plain polarized light. Then it turned that polarized light to an angle of 112 degrees Celsius. Then we are keeping that solution intact for 12 to 18 hours and again repeating the same experiment and found that that time it changed the angle only to 52.5 degrees Celsius. Then again we prepare a D-glucose solution but at 98 degrees Celsius and pass a plain polarized light through it. Then found that the deviation is only 90 degrees Celsius. When if it kept as such for 12 to 18 hours, then we notice that then that time that rotation is again increased to 52.5 degrees Celsius. So, rotation is that change in rotation with the time. That change in rotation with time is called the rotation. Because both cases, after some time, we notice some change in the rotation pattern. That change, that word we need to give stress. You need to add along with your answer. That change. Rotation with time, change and time, that two words is important. That change in rotation with time is mutation. Why this mutation is happening? Because D-glucose is an isomer of glucose. This D-glucose have two anomers. Which are the anomers? Alpha form and beta form are there. These are two anomers of D-glucose. And what is anomers? Anomers is simply is the ring form. This is a straight form and this is the ring-like structure. That ring-like forms are called the anomers. Explanation is here. Anomers are cyclic monosaccharides. They are epimers also. And they differ each other with regard to first carbon. If that anomer is an aldoses, if it is an aldoses, that epimers differ with respect to the first carbon. If it is a ketosis, then that anomer differ each other with respect to the second carbon. Okay. Why that mutarotation is happening? Why? Because D-glucose is an isomer. It has two anomeric form, that is alpha and beta. This is alpha and this is beta 4. Okay. In the case of aldoses, we are considering the first carbon. In the case of ketosis, we are considering the second carbon. And these two carbons, carbon 1 and carbon 2, they are anomeric also. Anomeric. That carbons are called an anomeric because in relation to these carbons, that spatial rearrangement is happening to create alpha and beta. So in the case of alpha D glucose, its specific rotation is 112 degrees Celsius. If it is of beta D glucose, then it can rotate the plane polarized light to a degree of 90 degrees Celsius. Okay. Then here, these two ring form. These two are anomers of galactose. Okay, galactose. Here, if we notice these two rings form, it is not a ketose because there is no keto group. C double bond O is not present here. Only CHO group. That is means it's an aldose. CHO. As it is aldose, we need to check the spatial arrangement of first carbon C1 and also first carbon. In the case of C1, here the hydrogen is positioned towards upwards. In the case of beta, that hydrogen is positioned towards downwards. In that way, it differs alpha and beta. Okay. And a solution, a glucose solution, a freshly prepared glucose solution, after some time it reached equilibrium. That means there is no further change to either alpha or beta form. At that stage, when it reached equilibrium, the proportion is 1/3 of the solution is of alpha, 2/3 be of beta. Beta here, its rotation is 52 degrees Celsius. That's why after some time, all the solutions show that deviation is with an angle of 52 degree Celsius. That is the reason. Understand? Here, for sometimes both cases the deviation arrive at the value 52 degree because after some time the solution reached equilibrium, and at equilibrium condition 1/3 of is of alpha, 2/3 of beta. That's why we show this angle, this degree of deviation with regard to the angle. Then total isomers of glucose. For one glucose, we know the 16 stereoisomers are possible. Why? Because 4 asymmetric carbons are there. 2 raised to 4 is equal to 16. And for each isomer, 2 anomers are possible. That anomers means alpha forms and beta forms. So it's a total 16 into 2, 32 isomers are present for glucose. By this we can finish today's class. Thanks.